in. If somebody's out there and they can kind of shepherd people, that's great. We have some important recognitions to do in the beginning of the meeting tonight, and then we have other presentations and an agenda to do. So first we'll do the recognitions, have a quick little break, and then we'll get on with the formal meeting. Charlie, you want to kick us off here so we can get going?
Sure. Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the town of Orangetown. This is Tuesday. It's May 3rd, 2016, and on roll call, Councilman Troy, Councilman Divney, Councilman Valentine, Councilman Batari, Supervisor Stewart.
Here, thank you.
And Esther Baitler, would you please begin the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance? Thank you.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Once again, thanks for coming out tonight to Town Hall, and we have some important work to do as part of our meeting tonight in recognizing exemplary employees and members of the community who are involved with keeping town of Orangetown beautiful. And to that end, I'd like to turn over the microphone to our Highway Superintendent, Jim Dean, to talk a little bit about his department and the awards that he's presenting.
Thank you, Andy. I want to thank Andy Stewart, our supervisor, Councilman Dennis Troy, Councilman Jerry Batari, Councilman Tom Divney, and Councilman Paul Valentine for allowing us to have this time. I know it's a busy time for them and they have a lot going on, but this is, I think, the 19th year that we've been doing this, and it's really been a great way for us to introduce to the town board members and other people in the town some of the volunteers that do such really good work for the town of Orangetown. And the volunteers that we're talking about are the ones that are working directly with the highway department to do some of the functions that we have. And also, we're going to talk a little about a couple of our employees that are really put the extra effort in, and I think you'll appreciate that. But first, we're going to talk about the group that's been with us, I think 16 years. I'm not sure the exact date. They've been around forever, and they're for Summit School. Summit School is a school, private school in Upper Nyack that's a live-in school, and for kids that are, need additional help in choosing their path through high school and towards college. One of the things that they provide in Summit is a special program to take the kids and let them go out in the community and work every day and get an idea of what it is to actually have a job. So we've been doing this with groups for the last 16 years, I believe, from Summit, and always a great asset for us. They don't only come to us, they go to some other municipalities, and they go to private industry. So they get a feel for what's going on in the business day. For us, they come once a week, sometimes twice if we're lucky, and the main function that they do for us now is anybody that's picked up bags at the highway department or out here for your recycling, they come to us in bulk. Our group from Summit breaks them down into bundles of 10, and we pass them out to our residents. It makes it easier for us to keep track of, and easier for people to be able to pick up their piles. But what you don't realize is we give out over 100,000 bags a year. That means about 10,000 packages these kids put together for us, and we really do appreciate it. Bruce Goldsmith is the principal, and Cynthia Links is the administrator of this particular program. They're not with us tonight, but the boys came down with one of their leaders, and we're just going to introduce the young men that are come this evening. I think we have 12 or 14 on the list, and 5 of them were able to show up tonight. So Stefan's going to read them off, and we'll hand out the awards to them. I know they're in here somewhere. Where are you guys?
Edward Antonellis. Dean Bredauer. Ryan Donnelly. Jeffrey Martell, and Jack Steele.
And it really is a pleasure to be able to recognize these young men. And many times, there's 3 or 4 girls came with them this year, too. So we've had a good, Mondays are usually a really good day at the Highway Department. We do have some special Adopt a Road anniversaries. We started this 20 years ago, Adopt a Roads, asking for volunteer groups to take a section of road, clean it up 4 times a year. We don't stop cleaning it up. We also try to work with them. But we actually have 42 hotspots around the town of Orangetown that we try to service in this manner. So having a group like the Blauvelt Lions take 2 streets for us, maybe 3 streets now, it's really a help. And actually, the Blauvelt Lions have been doing this for 20 years. They're our first group and our oldest group. And we really do appreciate all the help. They went from collecting papers to collecting oil to cleaning up roadsides, and we really do appreciate it. And the president this year, Vicki, is going to come up. She's going to accept the award. Vicki Hardy is this year's president. Thank you for all your help. And we have a whole bunch of past presidents here, too. But we're not going to list them all. Did we get a picture? Bob's going to do the picture. Thank you. We also have a 5-year award, and this is to the Orangetown Republican Committee. I guess they're all out getting votes, so I didn't see anybody here. But they're getting started, and we do appreciate their help also. We have some beautification awards. Something that we did a little different this year. Of course, that's a highway crew. But for the last couple of years, we've given out beautification awards to businesses, and some that have done a really good job. But riding around this year, actually last year, I spotted a couple places that I thought were really just done neat. Somebody's house, somebody tried to clean it up a little bit, or a small business that wanted to make it look a little bit better. And I think it's really great to be able to ride around town and find something like that. So this year we're going to give our Community Beautification Awards to 1 small business and 2 residential properties. As you can see, the Cloverleaf Inn on the corner of Western Highway and Mountain View Avenue in Orangeburg really caught our attention, and I'm not sure if the owner is here. Oh, there he is. Come on, would you like to come up? Yeah. The owner is Richard Miller. I told his daughter, and she said, "Oh my God, he is really going to be happy because he really cares about this place." And he called her mother to tell her.
I brought my son because he did all the garden.
Great. So we really do appreciate it. Thank you for your effort. It makes it nice to be able to drive down the street and see something that lights up your day. The second one we had on the list, let me get back to my list, is Joe Napoli. Now, a lot of people know Joe Napoli because he's a president of the Tappan Town Historical Society, and I think he's gotten some awards before. But this is a little special place in front of his house in Tappan, and I haven't given out all addresses. I'm not sure if everybody wants to know. But if you're driving down Kings Highway in Tappan, you can't miss it. It's just getting up now. It's nothing growing now, but he likes to do it in the summer into the fall, and it's really a pretty place to go by. And there's a lot of traffic on that street, and I'm sure it makes a lot of people happy each day. So thank you very much, Joe. Oh, you got to come up. We got to give it to you. And last but not least, and I have a little story for this, is Greg and Eileen Malra. They just stopped in. When I talked to them about it, they said they'd love to come, and then they found out that their son is in a concert at Tappan Zee. Usually he plays at the end, but they put him first this time. So they came and they said thank you, and they went. And this is on Convent Road and Durfus Lane in between Blauvelt and Pearl River. Happen to see it every day when I go by, and it really does add a little beauty to the area. So we want to thank them too. Over the years, we've had community cleanups, and we've been working very closely with Keep Rockland Beautiful, and they've been doing a great job. Each year they expand, and they've been doing a really good job in Orangetown. They've actually broken out and organized groups at different locations, and this year we have a really good group effort in Pearl River and a really good group effort in Blauvelt. Large efforts. There's a lot of smaller efforts going on too, but we owe that to the director of Keep Rockland Beautiful, who has really been working hard at spreading this all over the county, but working closely with Orangetown because she happens to know a couple guys here, like the past executive director and me from being on the board, Sonia Cairo. And we want to tell her thank you very much for all her help. And we have something for you to hang on the wall too. So you don't want to come up and get it. That's okay. I'm going to ask Debbie Shaw to come up and get hers because Debbie is the coordinator for Orangetown. Sonia is the executive director, and Debbie Shaw is the coordinator for Orangetown. Yeah. Oh, no. We weren't going to leave her out. Thank you. Yes. I'm not running an election until next year. And we do, for the Blauvelt Community Group, Melissa Grau, Debbie Shaw, and Lori Puka. Are you with us tonight? They're not here, but you accepted for them. Okay. And for Pearl River was Christine Diltz and Beth Norman. Okay. We do have two special community cleanup awards by really special groups that got together and did a tremendous effort. The first one is the Spark Hill Watershed Alliance, and they cleaned the Spark Hill from Piermont all the way up to Blauvelt, Clausen Mountain Road in Blauvelt, and they did a great job. They had over 125 people out, and we've been picking up stuff all over the place for them. But they've done a great job. We asked if they wanted us to name somebody, and they said no, because it's just a group organization. But I do see Robert Tompkins is here from the group, so maybe you could take the award and bring it back to them. And that's the picture that we have of the Spark Hill Creek. But of course, there's about 8 miles of that creek that runs through Orangetown. It's pretty unique. It starts in Orangetown and ends at the Hudson River in Orangetown. Only a little bit of it goes into Jersey. Next, we have a really active group, the Tappan Fire Department. They got together as a group and took on a really difficult spot. They did Route 303, which all of our organizers have been very reluctant to ask people to go out to Route 303 because there's so much traffic and it's difficult. But this is a group of volunteers that they know how to be safe, they know how to work safe, and not only contribute their time to protecting us and protecting our properties, but they also took the time to clean up Route 303, and that's absolutely wonderful. They had almost 80 people, and they got over 120 bags of trash. So thank you very much. I'm going to invite George Garrett to come and get it because I know George because he works in the highway department. And he's the president of the association. Thank you, George. And maybe when we're done, we can get a picture with all the firemen out there. That whole side of the house is from the fire department. So we are moving along. We do promise the town board that we won't take a long time with this. So I don't want you to feel that I'm rushing, but I am. But I think it's important to give people recognition when they do really good things. And this is something on our employee side that I think is a really good thing. We have this year 3 people that have been in our department for 25 years. We have 51 people in operations. And you can see that long-term work for the Orangetown Highway Department is not unusual. Dwayne Henthorn, Robert Murphy, and Dave Wellborn, they're 25 years, they just made 25 years in the Highway Department this year. They're not here. They work 10-hour days now, so they're home resting so they can go to work tomorrow. We also have 2 people here with 30 years in. Now they're getting close to my time on the job. And actually, I remember them for being here a long time. Jim Dillon is one of our road foremen, and he didn't make it tonight. His shift is on tomorrow, so he's home resting. Plus, he's a commissioner in the Spark Hill Fire Department, and they have a meeting tonight. So another multiple tasking volunteer. And our general foreman, who usually stands with me here, Mike Anazone, is a commissioner of that department, and he's at the same place, so doing their duty there. And we also have one of the stalwarts of our department, our top administrative secretary, or personnel administrator. I got to give her a really good title because she's really special to our department. That's Karen Janes. And there she is. If you call the highway department and you hear the nice lady, it's Karen. The other girls are nice, but Karen's nicer. And she knows the inside out in the Orangetown Highway Department. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Also, I always say that this is kind of corny, but I love this. We go back to what we got in grammar school and high school, perfect attendance awards. I think it's really important. We have people working in all kinds of elements, difficult jobs, and we have this year 4 people that didn't take a day off. They have 100% attendance. And I think that's really special in an outfit like we have, doing the type of work that we do. Carl Bond is here, and we're going to give him his award. And Carl is one of our road supervisors. So he's a leader, and he leads by example. Jim Dillon, for the same reason, he got 100% attendance. As I said, he couldn't be here. Chris Coyle is one of our newer employees, 4 or 5 years on the job, and he's a laborer, and he has 100% attendance. So it goes throughout our ranks. And our administrative assistant, deputy recycling coordinator, Stefan Muno, has 100% attendance. And I have to give Stefan, thank you very much for putting this together, the plaques and everything else. He really does all the work. So he deserves a raise. We're going to take a collection, Esther. All right, and I think that's it. One more thing. This is the crew. This is the highway crew, both male and female. That's what gets it done for the residents in the town of Orangetown. And I do have to brag that we were again successful in winning the American Public Works Association Excellence in Snow and Ice Control Award this year. That's a national competition. We won it in 2011 and we repeated again this year. So I'm very proud of our operation. Thank you. Thank you, Town Board.
All right. One thing that you should mention that's coming up really soon is Orangetown Highway Department Open House. I don't think you guys mentioned that. That's on Saturday the 14th from 10 till noon, and it's a time when families, especially kids, come and see the heavy equipment, get a chance to climb on things, learn about recycling, composting, and other activities, and get a little bit of a sense of what public works are all about, which is kind of partly our theme for tonight. Because we're recognizing the National Public Works Month along with a couple other important recognitions that we're doing. But I just want to thank you, Jim Dean, and your entire staff, all the employees, and the volunteers. What an absolute outstanding group of people, and especially seeing the Tappan Fire Department come out so strong, organizing a community event, cleanup. I think in my days, with Keep Rockin' Beautiful for 11 years, and I don't think we ever saw anything that big in Tappan before. And clearly something happened, and it happened this year, and that's really exciting to see, along with Blauvelt, Pearl River, Sparkill, Nyack, and all the other cleanups that are going on. There are two more happening this weekend in Orangetown. One is the Piermont Pier cleanup, Saturday at 10. I have that right, Sonia, right? And the other is up on Clausland Mountain on Tweed Boulevard, also Saturday morning. So you can call Keep Rockin' Beautiful and find out more about those events. But once again, thank you so much for all the work you do for the town.
Thank you.
We have a couple other proclamations for recognition of public employees on the agenda, but not with the same level of recognitions going on. But I just wanted to mention that it's Building Safety Month, and mention again the work our town employees do in that area, keeping people safe, making sure that the illegal and unsafe activities don't take place through code enforcement, and also really helping people with projects that add value to their homes. And John Giardello is sitting in the back there. Our director and his staff really do a great job on that. I also want to mention our police department. National Police Week is coming up, May 15th to the 21st. And if you look in the body of the agenda here, you'll see proclamations with details about these different kinds of public servants, and there's specific information about the National Police Week and the sacrifices that police officers make, and the duty that they provide to the public nationwide, and that gets recognized in various ways in the county, so I encourage you to participate in that. Also, we have Mental Health Awareness Month, which is new this year. We were asked by local residents to do something in recognition of mental health awareness, and is Rena Finkelstein here right now? Rena, could you just take the podium for a minute? We've agreed to hang these ribbons, and if Rena, if you could just say a word or two about the meaning of this awareness movement this month, that would be terrific.
Well, congratulations to all the awardees. I'm glad to be a resident of Orangetown, where you're doing all the volunteers and staff are doing such a great job keeping us safe and keeping our highways and streets clean. I'm happy to be here.
Thanks for saying
So
that.
I'm also president of NAMI Rockland, which stands for the National Alliance on Mental Illness of Rockland County. I'd like to face this way, but this is since 1949, the month of May has been designated as Mental Health Awareness Month. But this is the first year that NAMI Rockland is sponsoring this ribbon campaign here in in Rockland County. And I'm happy to see that you have our ribbons placed all over it, and our literature, our NAMI literature outside as well. NAMI Rockland is well, let me start by saying 10.2 million people in the United States suffer from some kind of mental illness, such as anxiety disorders, schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, and depression. And it's estimated that here in Rockland County, there are about 16,000 people with all kinds of mental health conditions. And these are no-fault, equal opportunity conditions. They strike people of all religions, all socioeconomic backgrounds, all ethnicities. No one is really immune. So NAMI Rockland is an organization that provides resources and tools for families who are impacted by mental illness, and the community as well, of course. And we have through a broad array of services, and you can find what those services are outside, but they include courses for family members of people with serious mental illness, for families of children and adolescents who suffer from all kinds of things like ADHD, anxiety disorders, depression, bipolar disorder, and autism spectrum disorders. We have an intensive program, right, that we launched this year for those families. And one of the unique features of our programs is that they're all free. So we invite anyone who needs our services to avail yourselves of them. So we're really happy that Orangetown has chosen, and we thank the Supervisor Stewart and the board for signing on to this Mental Health Awareness Month, which is going to raise awareness about mental illness and open up the dialogue, we hope, about mental illness, and help us get action on some legislation and a lot of additional services. So thank you very much.
Thank you for coming out and helping us with that. Thanks again. Next, I'd like to invite, we're kind of cutting over to, actually, maybe we should have a brief recess, because we're going to cut over to really somewhat more mundane town business, nonetheless very important. And there's a lot of folks in the room who might want to take their leave. We are going to have a presentation about the annual report from our golf course at Broad Acres. Then we're going to have public comment and get into a series of agenda items that are on the, and we have a public hearing on a proposed change in the law, which is a minor item related to wastewater discharges. So what are you suggesting? You don't want to have a recess?
I say we do the public hearing, quick recess.
Okay.
And then have the David Sunday from Public Health.
The point being, Councilman Divany is just saying, let's do the public hearing because we scheduled it for 8 p.m., and I'm looking at the clock and it's 8 p.m. This will be very short. Our town attorney is here in case we have any questions about it. I'll make a motion to open the public hearing on proposed local law amending Chapter 30A of the Town Code relating to industrial waste. Do I hear a second? From Divany, all in favor say aye. Is there anybody here to speak on this question of amending the local law relating to industrial waste? Anybody signed in? No raise of hands? Not seeing any comments, I'll make a motion. Wait, hold on a second. I think we have to close the public hearing, but okay, motion to close the public hearing. Valentine, all in favor say aye. Then we have a couple of items. Anytime you change town law, you got to jump through a couple of hoops. For those who weren't here last week, this one has to do with a state or federal mandated kind of amendment to town codes relating to how we do the wastewater permitting from commercial users. So number 3 is designation of the town as lead agency with respect to this proposed local law. Do I have a second on that? From Troy, all in favor say aye. Aye, the ayes have it. It's also a negative declaration under SECRA, meaning that this law does not have an environmental impact that's significant and needs further study. Number 4 is the adoption of the law, which is put in its full text in the body of the agenda on the following page with the language being added by this adoption underlined, which is usually how we do it. I'll make a motion for the adoption of this new local law or the amendment to the local law. Do I have a second?
Second.
From Divany, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. All right, that's that. We did the public hearing. You guys want to have a recess for a minute or two? Let the highway guys get out and socialize a little bit?
Yeah, that's fine.
All right, a motion for a 5-minute recess of the town board. Do I have a second?
Second.
From Jerry, all in favor say aye. Enjoy yourselves, socialize a little bit, and stick around if you want to come to public comment. Come from over here? From Troy, all in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. I'm going to invite our finance director, Jeff Bensick, to the podium. As people are aware, this is a presentation about golf. As people are aware, over the last couple of years, we've been working with Applied Golf, and Dave Wasenda from Applied Golf is here as well, to operate the town golf courses. And we wanted to have kind of an annual review, especially at Broadacres, which was what we had requested for tonight. And the reason why we're doing it now is because that the town has an annual independent audit process, and we want to have kind of final audited numbers for these kinds of questions related to expenses and revenues. So with that, and the audit process is basically finished. The auditors will be making their presentation to the town board soon. And with that, Jeff is in a position to report back as to the financial results at Broadacres over the last year. And Dave Wasenda is here as well to talk about how the management has gone. And that's a presentation that the town board wanted to have. So Jeff, please take it away.
Okay, thanks, Andy. Actually, I'd like to ask Dave to come up here. He's got a brief overview that will give a summary of what Applied Golf has done at the golf courses, and then I'll follow that up with the detailed financials immediately after Dave's quick presentation.
Sounds good. Dave, the floor is yours. Dave's done a great job. One thing, you know things are going well if you don't get any complaints.
Okay, I just have just for the town board's sake, just a summary of that.
Thanks.
It's tight quarters here. Okay, thank you very much for having us to do a brief presentation on the golf course. My name's Dave Wasenda. I'm the president of Applied Golf. We were hired by the board in the town in 2014 to take over the operation of Broadacres Golf Course. We've had a great time at the golf course. I think we've done quite a bit of improvements over the 2 years at the golf course and made quite a bit of progress on the financial side of things as well, which was the two charges: keep the property as is and improve it, and improve the financial viability of the golf course for the town. So, you know, we just provided this brief presentation tonight, just more bullet point, getting to the point on some of the things that are going on at Broadacres. I'll just kind of go through them real fast. In some of our strengths that we feel we're at now with the golf course is we have a very strong agronomic program, and that's the conditioning of the golf course. We've learned a lot about the golf course in the last couple of years. We've been able to really bring the level of conditioning up to the next level and be able to give the town residents and also outside the town golfers who support the golf course a great experience. We've increased our market presence by increasing the rounds of golf and the revenue for the facility. We've been tweaking and optimizing our price points for the golf course. We've been able to understand the market as the years have gone by to tweak the rates to be able to maximize more revenue per round. We've had a very stable staff there with our golf manager, Joe Rafter, our superintendent, Matt Corbridge, and staff. And we've been able to just get understand and get more revenue just from other sources as well. Challenge is always going to be the location there at the Psych Center. It does have its challenges getting in and out with the parking logistics and that we cannot change. It's the infrastructure, the clubhouse and stuff is for those who've played there is quite old, and again that's just maybe the charm we feel of Broadacres rather than anything else. It's it's an old building, but we've done things to enhance the inside of the building to make it better. And we're looking into some food options as well. I know the golf committee had mentioned some of the challenges there with no food. We just have vending machines and things like that, but we're looking to maybe providing some light food options there. Goals for this year are, retaining the good standing with our customer base, continue to expand our marketing strategies, continue the fine-tuning of rates through our online business and also through the regular business we have, and just continue to broaden our reach out in the community and beyond into the surrounding towns and regional area to be able to capture more golfers there. As far as financially, pre-applied golf in 2013, the golf course had gross revenues of $546,000. In 2014, $565,000. In 2015, $604,000. So we've been able to increase revenues by more than $60,000 in the 3 years that we've been, or 2 years we've been involved. And we've gotten off to a great start in 2016. We were, through April, we're about $20,000 ahead of last year's numbers, which were $35,000 ahead of the numbers the year before. As far as the activity there, the golf rounds, we did 16,800 in 13. Before we got there, we did 20,000 rounds in 14 and 21,200 rounds in 2015. So the activity levels have increased as well. Again, we think that this is, some of the outreach marketing programs, but also keeping the property in very good condition. So we feel like, the activity and things that we're doing are showing in the numbers and the revenue in both the activity and both the cash in the drawer. As far as other things we've done there, we have, in our contract, we were supplied with a $25,000 per year capital expenditure allowance. Of course, being able and approved by the town in advance. We have not spent one penny of that money. We've invested our own money of over $35,000 in the last 2 years, and we also have $10,000 in capital committed for 16 as well. So it'd be $45,000 in a 3-year period put into the golf course that we didn't ask the town for, and we felt like that was the right thing to do, being a partner with the town. So we're excited. We think 2016 is going to be another good year for us. We're actually enhancing, for those of you who golf at Broadacres, over the next couple weeks, we're enhancing. Maybe we're going to win a highway department award next year for beautification of the front of the building there. But we're paving the local in that front of that area of the clubhouse. We're beautifying that, so when you walk in there, it's all rocks and nasty now. We're going to get that whole area really cleaned up for a better first impression, and that was a project that Joe Rafter and I discussed and thought was a well worth it visual enhancement to the golf course. And we're going to put new tee signs up this year. We discussed that in the golf meeting the other day, and just concentrate on some areas that we're just fine tuning. There's a couple areas in the fairways that are always weak during the hot season. Some older trees, but we got a nice plan to again enhance the golf course once again in 16. So we appreciate the opportunity. We appreciate the business. We appreciate all the town residents to come out and play and support us. And again, look forward to a great 2016. Thank you.
Any questions for Dave before we move on to Jeff's financial review?
I also put in the package something that we started, which is combining the two courses, because for those of you who don't know, we were awarded the contract for Blue Hill this year. So as part of our commitment to the town is we're trying to group the courses together to be able to market the golf courses as one. So we came up with a slogan of Play Golf Orangetown. We have a a brochure here that we'll be distributing around town, have printed, and it has the rates and the activities and things that go on in both golf courses. So we want to, we want to be able to leverage our database from Broadacres and also cross-market the golf courses with, people who like to play golf and maybe want a variety. So I just included that in the sample as well. Okay. Good. All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, Dave. It really looks great.
Okay. What you'll see before you are two separate pages. The first page has actuals from 2013, 2014, and 2015, and the page behind it has the estimated before we signed the contract with Applied Golf. So you have estimate 2013, 14, and 15. So you see what you made the decision on, what the assumptions were, and then you see how the results actually came in. And so if we talked about 2014 last year, so I'll focus more on 2015. You'll see, first off, there's a difference in the revenue figure that Dave quoted of $604,000. We have $612,000 here. The reason for that difference is that, Applied Golf gets credit for the revenues of greens fees, cart fees, prepaid tee times, and the seasonal pass permits. So that was the $604,529. The target revenue for Applied Golf was $630,350. So there was a shortfall, and this is what is frequently asked, of $25,820. So 50% of that was split, and Applied Golf took the hit on that shortfall, and we took the other hit on that. So if you get to the contracts with outside vendors line, what you'll see is I broke that out, and you see that Applied Golf wasn't paid the targeted $595,000, but rather they were paid $582,090 because of the revenue shortfall. So that plan is working as we anticipated, and we're ensuring that that happens. Now, when you see the overall audited financials, it's lumped together, so that's why I broke out the Applied Golf portion so you could see that. The couple things to consider as well is that in each of the years there were some unusual items. In 2014, we had a total of 59,000 late start charges. We had to pay personnel through mid-March. You can see that was $56,000 of those late start charges. This year, the RPC pump station that OMH owns, and we have an agreement with them to pay the utilities, but what they have done is they've not charged us anything for that for at least the last 3 years, and we do the capital improvements on that RPC pump station. Well, this year they decided to charge us because it's accumulated much faster, or for years, really, and there hasn't been as much capital needed to offset that. So this year, where you'll see utilities jump from 14,000 in 2014, and it was never more than 13 to 15,000, jumped all the way over 40,000 this year. 28,000 of that was for the OMH utility bills. So that is also obviously has nothing to do with Applied Golf. It's for operating the RPC pump station, which we're obligated to do, and that's what that cost is. Across the other, you see all the separate budget lines there and what the actual figures came out. No real surprises. Some are higher, some are lower. The net impact of all of this is that the course saved, if you exclude those one-time charges, in 2014, $106,000 versus a 4-year average, and in 2015 saved $180,000 versus the 4-year average. And then if you turn the page and look at what we expected originally, you'll see that a total of 3-year savings expected of $468,000. Now looks like we're on pace for $492,000 of savings versus a 4-year average. So some up, some down, net, slightly better than anticipated, and part of it is because Broadacres saved us $50,000 by eating their own capital improvements. So that certainly has helped us a lot. So any questions on the financials of the golf course? And I will say that just through August of this year, both golf courses are doing well ahead of what they've done the past 2 years, largely due to better weather, but also, you know, obviously Applied's done a great job in terms of running them as well.
Yeah, weather makes a big difference, and with this contract, with that 50-50 split on getting above or below the target revenue level, at least we're protected a little bit from the you know, a shortfall.
Exactly.
Sharing the benefit of it seems like the revenue target is set pretty aggressively, and that keeps everybody working hard. So
Yeah, and the revenue target for next year increases again to 665,000. So if you look at the overall revenues, you know, we've gone from a low of 548 in 2013 to 573 to 612, and the target is 665. So we really did push an aggressive target, and it's shared benefit, shared risk. If they do better than that target, they get, you know, some of that, and if they do a little bit worse than that, then they take some of the pain as well. So.
well, thanks for that report, Jeff, and Dave. Thank you so much for your hard work as a contractor for the town. We all put a lot of work into these agreements, and it seems like they're working out great. So thank you for that. Now let's see where we were. I'll make a motion to open the public comment period. You have a second for Tom Divany. Is there a sign-in sheet out there that somebody can grab? I see Joe Moran. Maybe Joe can grab it. Thank you, Joe. By the way, while he's bringing that up here in celebration of Public Works Week, we've scheduled our first real public tour of the wastewater treatment plant, which is really exciting. We had a graphic designer work on a diagram in consultation with the engineers, and on May 19th at 3:15, if you want to see probably what's the town's greatest investment. Sorry. What happened to my list? Oh, making a copy. Okay, great. In terms of investment in green infrastructure and keeping the water clean, the wastewater treatment plant is an enormous investment. It's a complex, you know, biological engineering, mechanical engineering. It's really a wonderful operation. And the folks who work down there work largely in obscurity. You know, people don't really understand it or appreciate it a lot of the time. And we want people to really understand what the town does underground as well as above ground where it's highly visible. So to that end, on May 19th, 3:15, we're going to have the tour, first of what I hope are many. And anybody who's interested in that should call my office. And we actually have some Tappan Zee High School students who have helped put together the tour and will be participating and helping to lead that. So it's pretty exciting, and we hope to really draw attention to the work that's being done there by the town. So thank you, Joe. And Ken Skabinski, who's the chief operator, is a wonderful storyteller and presenter, and I think people will find it really interesting. So again, contact my office for more information, but it's May 19th at 3:15. Our first speaker, timing was perfect, thank you very much, is Michael Mandel. Thanks, Michael. Michael's also a member of our planning board. He's a great guy, deserves a hand. Yes, Michael.
Thank you. Good evening, Supervisor Stewart, members of the Town Board. For the record, I'm Michael Mandel, resident of Pearl River. First, I'd like to thank the Town Board for drafting and passing the Do Not Knock law. It will help promote tranquility in the town by prohibiting Verizon, Cablevision, and real estate brokers from trespassing on our property and annoying us in our homes. This is a good time for town residents to assist their neighbors who are elderly, infirmed, or disabled, and are unable to visit Town Hall to register for this program. It's about time we take care of those people within this town, and we'll increase the number of people on the list. Secondly, hopefully the financial report on Broad Acres will be posted on the town website for review by the town residents. Finally, I'm speaking as a member of the planning board. I'm requesting the town board to direct the town attorney's office to draft an amendment to the Town of Orangetown Town Code, directing all land use boards to conduct a roll call vote for each preliminary and final decision. This will ensure that every participant and every town resident will know exactly how each land board member voted on a particular issue. The rationale for this is at times the vote is conducted so fast that it is unclear to the public how each member voted. It will also enable land use board members to articulate the reason for their vote if they so desire, ensuring the board's duty to both be fair to the applicant and to act as an advocate for the community at the same time. Thank you.
Thank you. Robert Tompkins, please. Oops, sorry.
Yeah, my name is Robert Tompkins, and I'm a resident of Pearl River, an honorable town supervisor, board members. I am a committee member of the Rockland County Water Task Force, Water Management Task Force, and as part of the Conservation Committee, we have a goal of encouraging all governmental units in Rockland County, all the villages and towns, to become a free member of what's called the Water Sense program. Water Sense is an EPA program. The county, Rockland County, is a member. Suez, our major water utility in the county, is also a member. The goal of it is to obtain information we can share with the community to encourage them to conserve water. The Water Sense program basically was an evaluation by the EPA looking at various fixtures, such as toilets and showers, heads, and so on, which at the same cost of the fixture would provide you up to 20% savings in water. 20% savings, and of course that will reduce your water bill. What we're hoping is that you become a member. It's a free membership. It saves money for people, including the town, if they decided to go that way as well. I'm understanding Orangetown is what's called a climate-smart community, and being a Water Sense partner actually would counts for points, which would allow you access to certain grants as well. So I just want to encourage you to become partners with this program. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Robert. And that's actually, I forget which item that is, but there's a resolution for that partnership agreement. Again, at no cost to the town, but it's important to push forward with education about water conservation. So we appreciate that message. Allison Sullivan from Blauvelt.
Hello again.
Hi there.
My name is Allison Sullivan. I live in Blauvelt, New York with my 2 boys and my husband. I'm here again to state my concerns about the noxious odor that comes from Aloof plastic bag manufacturer on Glenshaw Street in Orangeburg. It is very close to St. Catherine's Church, where there is a preschool, and Dominican College. It also is about a mile away from Cottage Lane, Tappan Zee High School, South Orangetown Middle School, not to mention many homes. I've lived in Blauvelt for over 11 years now. My husband and I grew up in Orangetown and went to South Orangetown schools. We moved back here to raise our kids in this great community. I'm asking, what has the board learned and done about Aloof in the last month to assure safety of its residents? What have you learned or done about the fact that Aloof has violated several town codes on odor? My concerns about Aloof are this. We smell and have smelled this odor for years and have the documented complaints to prove it. It is not a constant odor. It comes and it goes. It could possibly be affecting our health over time. We need to find out for sure. Can you assure us and guarantee us what we are smelling is not a danger to our growing children or us? And if it is not a health concern, do we not have the right as residents of Orangetown to not have this noxious odor near our homes, schools, churches, and a walking trail that backs right up to it? Plastics have been linked to cancer, immune system damage, and hormone disruption. Truthfully, they've only begun to realize the damage plastics are having on humans. At one time, we thought BPA plastic was not harmful. We were wrong. Now we know it's the truth, but only after we've already been using it in water bottles, baby bottles, and food containers. BPA is one of the most common chemicals we're exposed to each day, and it's in everything from food and drink containers to dental fillings. BPA is a synthetic estrogen that can disrupt hormone system, particularly when exposures occur while babies are still in the womb or in early life. Even minuscule exposures increase risk for breast cancer, prostate cancer, infertility, early puberty, metabolic disorders, and type 2 diabetes. Some BPA alternatives, such as BPS, have come on the market and yet haven't been proven to be safe. The FDA has banned BPA from baby bottles and infant formula packaging. My point in telling you this is that I'm pretty sure Aloof will claim that what they are doing is safe and in compliance with the DEC regulations. What I want to know is how can we be sure we are safe when they have only begun to realize the impact plastics have on the environment and on us? There are very few studies on humans living near these manufacturers. I did find one interesting study done by Emory University in 2012 that reports the incidence of non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, a blood cancer, is significantly higher in communities located near refineries and manufacturing plants that release benzene into the surrounding air or water. Remember, benzene is used as a solvent in low-density polyethylene, a product used by Aloof to make their plastic bags. One day, I am sure when my boys go off to start their own lives, I will want to sell my home to a new family. My hope is that they can raise their kids in this great community with no worries of the Aloof plastics odor. We will know by then what is going on, and I can assure them that the town of Orangetown did all in their power to keep us safe and put residents first.
Well said. Thank you very much. Thank you so much, Ms. Sullivan, for that. You'll notice that we have a 3-minute clock, and I like to try to let people finish their thought or their sentence, and at the same time ask anybody who's making a comment tonight to really try to stick to the 3 minutes and out of respect for other folks who want to speak. That was really a great comment. Susan Nemesty.
Yes, hi. Susan Nemesty from Palisades. I'm here tonight to ask the board to consider an amendment to the Orangetown zoning code restricting franchises and formula businesses in historic districts of Palisades and Tappan. With the 303 corridor growing and the constant threat of big box stores looming over Orangetown, it is critical now more than ever to take serious measures to protect our historic districts and their overlay areas from franchise and formula businesses. When I moved to Palisades in 1994, I became a patron of Tappan Pharmacy. Then it was still Storino's. Until sadly their closing just a few years ago, unable to compete with the 4 CVS franchises, all less than 2 miles from Tappan. And now a new Walgreens is being built on the corner of Oak Tree and 303. But I'm still a diehard small business advocate, so I drive to Old Tappan to a small local pharmacy still owned by a single person. I just want to show that this is our local 1096 Palisades Community Directory, and it has over 35 local businesses, even though we don't have a commercial center. And we have every business from landscapers to architects to contractors, and we try to patronize our local small businesses. And this is what I think Tappan and Palisades should continue doing, especially in the historic districts. You, the town board, and your predecessors deserve commendation in having protected our communities from franchise development. But that threat is now a reality, and we are asking you to take urgent steps in amending the Orangetown Code protecting the historic districts and appropriate residentially zoned neighborhoods from franchises and formula businesses of any kind. Last week, I gave each board member copies of excerpts from the Orangetown Comprehensive Plan and the Orangetown Code, both of which clearly state the duty of the town board is to protect the historic integrity of its neighborhoods. You have the authority, and measures like this have been done in multiple towns and villages around the country. Recently, you passed a do not knock law within a very short time. Because our historic districts are vulnerable, we are asking you to take action and prohibit franchises and formula businesses of any kind in Palisades and Tappan's historic districts. And last night at 5 o'clock, we went down online and we got a petition, and within 24 hours, we got over 130 signatures from the Orangetown area I just wanted to give this to you to see that there is an interest in getting this amendment passed if possible. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate your comment. We'll take a look at that. Carol Baxter. There you go. You got the applause before you speak. That's pretty good.
Wow, that's great. I love it. Good evening, Supervisor Stewart and the Town Board. Thank you for hearing my speak. I live in the historic district of Palisades. Over the years, there have been issues that have arisen in the community that the community feels that the historic guidelines could be tightened up to clear up some of the ambiguities of the historic guidelines. Research on dozens of other historic districts up and down the East Coast has revealed them to have much clearer, specific, and detailed guidelines. Since last fall, our community in the historic district has been faced with and have been fighting nonstop to protect and retain the historic nature of our hamlet. For 5 months last fall, the community fought against the proposed building of a 12,000 square foot home in our residential historic district. This home was 2 to 5 times the size of the surrounding homes in the area. It was denied by Haybar 3 times and once by the ZBA. At the annual Palisades meeting in January, were representatives from the state, county, and town were our guests. There were much discussion about zoning laws in and around Rockland County and how carefully communities should watch changes in the zoning laws. In January, we were faced with a zoning issue to divide a single-use building in the historic district to 2 businesses. In April, the variance was denied. At a recent town board meeting, an amendment was made to clarify language and meaning in the zoning code pertaining to building use. All of this leads me up to the issue that them coming to you today to show you how much we've been fighting in Palisades. We would really like the board to add in the list of what is acceptable building use in the codes to add no franchise or formula businesses, and to join with the other historic districts across the country that are also adding this into their codes. In an effort to retain, okay, I get it, whatever. So that's basically it. We were hoping that you will take this to make it clean, it's clear, we don't have to have any questions what it is, it's just no franchise or formula restaurants, especially we have in our historic residential community. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Carol. Definitely take a look at that. Larry Buccarelli.
Good evening, Larry Bucciarelli, Palisades, New York. First of all, I am a historic board member, and I would like to thank Mr. Mandel for his suggestion that I would readily accept as a board member, that a roll call vote would be a fine thing to enact. I am here as one member of the historic board to support the petition that was presented in front of you. The historic areas of Orangetown are fragile, not in the ecological sense, which is how the word is used most often today. The historic areas are increasingly eyed by franchises and formula stores for quaint and untapped locations. Many towns throughout the U.S. have placed restrictions on the type of uses in their historic areas, which is what we are asking. Nobody wants to see a food franchise open in one of the vacant stores on Restaurant Row in Tapan. This was exactly the rationale that was used by the citizens of Palisades in the 1970s when a major gas company wanted to set up shop in what is affectionately known today as the Palisades Triangle. Our historic laws need to be strengthened. The petition, which is only 24 hours old, is a gut-felt movement that can be enacted easily by this governing body. I hope you will review it and act swiftly to ensure our rich in history remains just that and not flaunted by corporations and formula franchises. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Tracy Hancock? Are you here, Tracy? Did you skip Bill? I'm sorry, did I? I'm sorry, you're right. Boy, someone's got the list memorized. Bill Hancock, please.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bill Hancock. I live at 48 West George Avenue in Pearl River. The people of Orangetown need to know what last Wednesday's planning board meeting means for Pearl River regarding the Hillside project. This project will clear cut 8 acres of trees between Route 304 and Railroad Avenue and replace them with a residence, a huge storage units building, a 2-story warehouse, roads, and lights. This piece of property is located in a flood zone and will encroach on wetlands there. My family and I live across the street from this development, proposed development. The quality of our lives will drastically change when this is built, but so will the quality of life in Pearl River. How is replacing 8 acres of trees in the heart of town across from a vibrant residential neighborhood be good for the town? Who will want to live in that neighborhood when this is built? It's kind of ironic that when we got here, all the beautification awards that were given out, and this is happening. The town failed us in 1985 when they zoned it for light industrial and didn't change it when a proposed trucking terminal there was voted down. The town failed us again in 2002 when the Orangetown Comprehensive Plan recommended protecting this property, and they ignored that recommendation. The Land Use Board failed us in 2008 when they determined that those of us living across the street did not deserve to be notified, even though the notification laws specified that adjacent neighbors and those across the street be notified. The Zoning Board failed us when they granted approval for a 24-hour business in a residential neighborhood. And the Planning Board failed us when they gave preliminary approval to this monstrous project, knowing full well that it lies in a residential area and a flood zone. Last week, the Planning Board failed us again when they ignored the majority of our questions and concerns and treated us dismissively. They failed us when they granted final approval to this plan with 47 conditions and ignored the fact that plans did not comply with the conditions of the Akabor ruling. I would like to know what you members of the board have to say about a system that has failed its residents so miserably. Thank you.
Tracy Hancock.
Hi, my name is Tracy Hancock, and I also live at 48 West George Avenue in Pearl River. Last Wednesday, as you just heard, the Planning Board held a public hearing for the final approval of Hillside Commercial Park. Many residents attending that meeting left feeling discouraged and disappointed, and not just because of the verdict. For example, many of the comments from contributing agencies that were logged in had been received just that same day. We were told that all of the comments had been put outside the room for public to review, but those comments were not put out there until maybe 5 or 10 minutes before the meeting, after almost everyone was seated, and certainly without time for the public to review them. Residents had many questions, most of which were not addressed by the Planning Board directly, nor addressed adequately. Several residents asked about what would be stored or manufactured in the proposed warehouse. Chairman Garvey dismissed that concern by interrupting a speaker and saying that the warehouse had only ever been proposed for storage. Yet I went home and looked at the plans, and it clearly says storage/light manufacturing. So that was a reasonable question that was not answered. Questions about why a storage warehouse that has no loading docks on the plans were also ignored. How do you have a warehouse with no loading docks? Not answered. When a resident asked about the DOT required widening of Hillside Avenue, which is not in the plans, the developer's attorney stated after the public comment that the widening would happen later. Well, when is later? And how do you widen Hillside Avenue without affecting the wetlands? Again, we couldn't ask those follow-up questions, and the Planning Board did not ask them. When the board was asked about the proposed filling of the floodplain, which is against county law, the developer and his engineer both admitted that there would be filling of the floodplain, possibly with fill from the land, but it wasn't clear. The board did not challenge the legality of this. And again, the public comment period was closed. We couldn't ask any follow-up questions. The board was also asked to send the plans back to Akabor, the Architectural and Appearance Review Board, for another review. The plans do not comply with that 2010 ACA Board decision, which was actually based on a significantly different set of plans than what was approved last Wednesday. And we believe that complying with ACA Board would cause big changes to the plans. Yet the board chair took the word of the developer's lawyer that ACA Board would be complied with. In closing, I just want to remind the community that Supervisor Stewart in January proposed Bob Dell for chair of the planning board. Council members Troy, Valentine, and Davini voted against that and voted to keep Mr. Garvey as chairman of the planning board. Thank you.
Esther Baitler.
Good evening, Supervisor Stewart, Town Board members, and John Edwards. For the record, my name is Esther Ann Baitler, and I'm a consumer who lives at the Kathy Lukens Independent Living Center in Park Hill. Tonight, I'm here to address what is going on with the bus shelter for Route 340. I have called Susan Myers. No one ever gets back to me. Somebody needs to move these people in the county to respond to people and issues that are really a matter of safety. This is shameful. I keep hearing 2 weeks and I hear 6 months. Nothing has ever come. I don't understand why nobody can move this ahead. I have to wait in the middle of the road to get on a 92 bus going to the Palisades Mall. I take 4 buses a day going to work. I'm not going to stand anymore waiting in the middle of the road because Brega buses are constantly never on time. I want to know what's going to be done. The town board never gets back to me. And I'd like to know what they're going to do on it. Because we're not going to wait another year. And I'm talking about our venture consumers who have to stand with me in the middle of the road. This is not safe. And I really think that the board should get to work and not wait. The other thing, Andy, I received your email. Number 1, you cannot speak at a workshop meeting. Number 2, I was not sick. However, I was the one that came here to discuss with you about the streetlight project. And you never got back to me. You just keep putting me off. I watched NYSERDA, but you guys need to work with O&R. Why do you have to work separate? Dennis, I gave you Michelle's number, Damiani, but I'd like to know what you're going to do about the streetlight. Do we have to sit back another year on that?
Thank you, Esther.
Or is that going to go in the waste paper basket? Can one of you answer me on the board? Jerry or Dennis? Tom? Paul?
Esther will answer at the end of the public portion.
But no one ever responds, Dennis. You sit there and you act like, you deny me the answers. It's not fair.
At the end of the public portion.
Thank you, and have a great night.
Kate O'Brien.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Thank you. My name's Kate O'Brien, and I live in Pearl River.
and I'm here tonight to ask the town board to draft and pass a law that restricts use of our town parks to town residents and their guests only. I feel this should also include school district-owned parks as well, if there is a difference, and of course, if those are within the jurisdiction of the town board. On many occasions, non-residents have come into our town, maxed out our parks to capacity, showed no consideration when it came to sharing those parks with residents whose taxes make them possible, left behind litter, and created an unsafe environment for our children. One such example happened to me last spring at Cherry Brook Park in Pearl River. A large group of men and boys, totaling what I would estimate to be about 60 people, got off the train in Pearl River, swarmed Cherry Brook Park, took over every last piece of equipment, and with their aggressive behavior made myself and my 2 young children feel unwelcome, unsafe, and unable to use the park by the time we arrived there. We had to turn around and go home. And this is not an isolated incident. When talking with friends and acquaintances alike, many of us have experienced very similar situations. All are in agreement that parks that were built and are maintained by our tax dollars should be for the use of our residents and our guests only. I urge you to draft and pass this law in order to protect the interests of the taxpayers you were elected to serve. This law can easily be enforced by citizens working along with the police, can be modeled, I'm sure, after the one our neighboring town of Clarkstown already has in place, and is essential for the safety and well-being of our children and for the future of this town that we all love so much. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Mike Palco?
Mike Palco from 40 Rollins Avenue, Pearl River, also talking about the Hillside Project. I recently drove by the club at Pearl River Woods near Lake Dapan and Veteran Drive, and I saw the damage to the environment. When bulldozers started knocking down trees, I commute past that road all during the year. When the bulldozers started knocking down the trees, all the wildlife living there ran for their lives. Deer, wild turkeys, possums, and other animals were killed crossing Veterans Memorial Drive, as I saw bodies there almost the whole winter time. All animals, including mice, rats, insects, will be leaving the area or buried alive. I foresee this as a possibility for Hillside also. The planning board gave final approval with conditions to Hillside Commercial Park last week. This site is 8 acres of trees that are also home to a wide variety of wildlife. In fact, there's no cutting allowed until October, when the bats, which control the mosquitoes, will leave the area. I would like to ask the town board to give local universities the power to act as truant officer to ensure that this developer complies with all the conditions placed on him. Columbia University, Lamont Doherty over in Palisades, could begin monitoring the air quality, the water conditions, noise levels, light intensities, etc., imposed on the homeowners by comparing before and after results if this development goes through. Cornell University could monitor land pollution, plant and animal disruptions caused by the project. This data would help our land use boards make better decisions in the future, even if we can't receive any benefit from it. Thank you.
Thank you. It looks like Marion Kelsey, but I might be pronouncing the last name incorrectly. Marion Keeley? I'm sorry, I skipped over Amy back. That one I can pronounce. Is Marion here as well? I just want to know. Okay.
Okay, my name's Amy Bach.
Welcome, Amy Bach. Sorry, I mispronounced your name.
That's okay.
Now I lost my speech, so here we go. This award night is bittersweet. Good evening, gentlemen. This award night is bittersweet for me. It's wonderful to see recognition being given to the wonderful workers of the highway departments, cleanup crews, and those that are chosen for beautification awards. It's so sad that we will witness the destruction of 8 acres of trees to build warehouses and storage units. I can't imagine that the project will be nominated for a beautification award when it's complete. I don't know if anybody else thinks so, but I'm standing here in front of you to express my disappointment with the planning board's decision regarding the Hillside project. This has been a controversial project. I felt as if the decision had been made before we even walked into the room. No one was listening to what we had to say with the exception of one board member. These boards are set up to protect the people as well as look out for the fiscal interests of the town. I was insulted to see the chairman of the planning board laughing and joking with the developer, the engineer, and the contractor after the meeting. That was extremely unprofessional. The planning board wields way more power than it should, especially because they are not held accountable for their decisions. They don't have any consequences to fear. Since they are not elected officials, decisions such as final approvals should be rooted to you, the town board. We have a lot of controversial subjects arise lately, and someone needs to be held accountable. Pearl River officials need to be for the people of Pearl River, not the developers. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Now, is Marion Curley here? Okay, not seeing any hands coming up. Heather Hurley, are you here? Okay.
Good evening, Heather Hurley, Pearl River. Regarding the amendment to the town code on banning the manufacturing of benzene, toluene, and xylene in Orangetown, I would like to know what has been accomplished in the last 3 weeks in terms of gathering more industry standard information to set quantity limits for research and development versus manufacturing, including defining parameters for pilot and demonstration scale plants. Mr. Divney, at the last board meeting on April 12th, you stated you wanted IRG to weigh in on the scaling issue. But IRG is a redevelopment corporation with a vested interest in this property. What information suggests that IRG can and should weigh in on an amendment that should be passed first and foremost to protect the health and safety of the residents surrounding a property such as the IRG campus, and not protect a redevelopment company with a significant financial vested interest in the site? Has anyone compiled a list of possible experts outside of Lamont Doherty to consult with regarding research and development versus manufacturing? In February, I emailed this board a biofuel scaling up article from Zeton, which clearly defines bench scale, pilot scale, demonstration scale, and commercialization scale. It included photos of each. What other information are you researching to compare the scaling up of biofuels? I cannot answer as to why someone from Lamont Doherty is not returning phone calls or emails, but that should not prevent anyone on this board from trying to reach out to other professionals who can assist in determining scale for R&D. You have had over 3 months since Inelitech announced that they are moving their demonstration plant and production of BTX to Texas. This announcement by Inelitech presented a unique opportunity to define scale. Members of Stop Inelitech addressed including scale in the first draft of this amendment over a year ago. If you continue to stall in working to protect this community from the manufacturing of a known carcinogen such as benzene, you are demonstrating a deficiency in your duties as elected officials. If this board will not refer to the information the public has provided regarding scaling up, it is time that this board actively pursue independent professionals who can weigh in. I would also like to say how disappointed and disheartened I was on April 27th when your appointed members of the Orangetown Planning Board approved the hillside storage and undisclosed warehouse facility in Pearl River. With this approval, I have to say that your appointed members of the Planning Board, with the exception of Mr. Mandel and Mr. Dell, have repeatedly shown a complete disregard to community concerns and opposition when it comes to proposals such as this and that of Inelitech. If the future of Orangetown depends on a planning board who dismisses residents' concerns and ignores already existing town codes as they relate to these controversial proposals, don't be surprised if people start to leave because their quality of life is threatened. They are met with labels such as obstructionists and zealots, and your board members ignore their valid concerns and questions. Lastly, I think the public deserves an answer to a question that has been repeatedly asked but not answered about the aloof plastic plan. If there is a section in the town code dedicated to odors, who is responsible to enforce it, and why isn't it being enforced in Orangetown? Thank you.
Amy Wertheim, please. Amy?
Good evening. I have 7 questions. How are town codes enforced? When a town code is violated, what happens? Where does the amendment banning BTX stand? Why is an aloof considered to be in violation of the town code for emitting foul odors? In the town of Orangetown's comprehensive plan, the hillside property is designated as protected. When did this change? At the last planning board meeting, Mr. Dell requested a roll call vote for the hillside project, and Chairperson Garvey flatly refused. Although it's rhetorical, what would be the reason for that refusal? Is Veterans Park open to the public or just the residents of Orangetown? Obviously with the exception of group, team, organized games. Thank you.
Thank you. Do you know? Manuel Arenas? I don't think so. Yeah, I didn't think that was your name either. I'm sorry. Whoever signed in number 13, it might start with IV. I have no idea, and I saw Dimitri Lattis. Is it somebody from Piermont here who signed in? Oh, okay. And Dimitri, I saw, had to leave. That's all for people who signed in. By the raise of hands, is anybody here to speak to the town board? Eileen?
I left
Good evening.
the meeting over at the Dominican convent that was being held by the Rockland County Water Task Force, and Lori Seaman showed a video of the progress when it first started about the desal plant up until the time it was shelved. It was very interesting. So I guess tonight when Bob mentioned item number 18, the water sense participation, it sounds like a very good thing to do. I know we all recently received a letter from Suez regarding the high level of trihalomethane in certain areas of Rockland County. Water, I'm sure all of you know, is one of the most valuable resources we have in our world, because without it we can't cook, we can't flush, we can't bathe, and we can't drink. So without saying too much more about it, unless we start to preserve it, and make sure it's safe to drink, we will wind up like worse than third world nations, I guess. I called Suez and spoke to a gentleman there and asked him what type of pipe brings water into my home. I'm sure it was a question never raised in my mind up until I saw the effect of lead in our water. And supposedly, when my home was built in 1956, it was a copper piping that brings the water into my home. I don't know if most people in the county have copper or lead pipes bringing their water into their homes, but it's timely that people started to wake up and look at how their water is brought into their home. Pascack Valley High School in Hillsdale recently reported that they found a high level of lead in their water system. There's a lot going on in Orangetown, which is really very disturbing. Having moved here in 1971, I was very involved with the Civic Association, as most of you know. And listening to Heather and the other people who spoke about the way they were treated at the planning board meeting the other night, I am saying here that Chairman Garvey should be asked for his resignation. Out and flat. No questions asked. He has no right to mistreat a resident of this town who have paid taxes to benefit a developer. It's not what the town code is all about. It's about us. And if you men have any kind of you-know-what, in all respect to the people here, you ask him tomorrow, submit your resignation. You can be replaced by any one of these women here who would serve this community well, in addition to Mr. Mandel and Mr. Dell. It is an outrage that I, too, have been mistreated by that gentleman. And for the Republican Party, you all know I'm a Republican, he represents the Republican Party. And that is offensive to me. I don't want my party to be represented by Mr. Garvey. Ask for his resignation. Demand it.
All right. Is there anybody else here by raise of hands to speak in the back there? Yes, sir. Watson. That's not Watson, is it? Oh, it is Watson. Okay. You look a little different. You look a little different.
Good evening. Watson Morgan from Blauvelt. I applaud the people who came out and spoke about some of our parks that are being utilized by people from outside our area. That's disgraceful. My son's children, 3 and 5, and they live in Clarkstown, and I get an opportunity to use a number of parks that are in Clarkstown, especially the Congers Lake, a wonderful park. You can walk completely around the lake. It affords tremendous picnicking and just enjoying, de-stressing. There is a pool. We've decided at some point in time years ago that we didn't want a pool because it was going to be too expensive, and I agree with that. But I don't belittle people for wanting a pool, perhaps, but I don't think we need one for the little amount of time that it's probably going to be used. I'm in favor of having a pass system for people who live in Orangetown and their guests. I happen to be a grandfather to my 2 grandchildren who live there, and I inquired there about having a special pass for people who are caregivers, like grandparents who might take care of the children from time to time, and being able to put the kids in the car and go to a park. I believe that there should be some sort of mechanism like that, and a pass that might cost $5 to cover the cost of a park. Haverstraw has a wonderful system in their Bowling Park. They have 2 pavilions. They also have a pool, but I'm not keeping the pool apart. Set that aside unless people really want it. And if they do want it, then they should come together and say, I've got 500 people who want a park, and I'm willing to put up $300 or $500 seed money and to show that they're truly interested in having a pool. Then you can maybe get a pool. We never did that when we wanted a pool, or people wanted a pool. I think that Haverstraw has a good system. What they do is they request people to pay families. They get a permit of like $100, and they can use the parking system, the parking lots at and the parks all the time. If they're going to have guests or they're going to have a party, they would have perhaps a part-time person at the gate to maybe collect, and it would be a very specific park, which I'm getting into, that I believe that Lot 1 at Rockland State should be created into a park that would be wonderful for all our citizens, plus the other parks that would allow people to park and be able to use our parks. I think there should be a commitment to pay a little bit of money for people who truly want to have parks. And that's all I got to say right now, and I applaud the people who came up and spoke. I've been speaking about that for years, as you know.
Thank you, Watson. Do I see any more hands up to speak in public portion tonight? One, Manny?
Hey guys, how you doing? Haven't seen you in a while. Been busy with soccer. But it rained tonight, so fields were closed. Thank you, Eric. Guys, there's consequences to our actions and to our inactions. You guys haven't done anything about this hillside thing. When I moved to Pearl River 8 years ago, I was like, this is a great place to raise a family, lots of trees. All those trees were cut down for that new development, and it looks terrible. I want to see trees there overlooking that lake. Now this Hillside Avenue problem is going to create flooding. That area gets flooded tremendously, and you're now allowing them to build on a wetland? I mean, I'm sure there's more to it. I'm not super versed on it, but I don't want to pull out of my house because I pull out right there and see 2 big warehouses. The bottom line is people who live in that neighborhood are going to want to move. What we should be doing is beautifying our area, our parklands, keeping them, like Eric does, with high quality so we can attract young families with young kids. You guys seem to be on the wrong side of a lot of things. You just are. You have this aloof plant. What's being done about that? That's been there for years. You can't take your kid to play basketball in there. It's so hot, you can't open the doors because the odor is just awful. The other problem is now people want a 100% residency requirement at the parks. It's kind of ironic, isn't it? I've been saying that for years. We had a great policy, in effect, 85%. You guys lowered it to 65%. You've opened the door that you might not be able to close now. It's not the right thing. A lot of things were said about me, but you know what? I told you 100 times, I'm about the community. I'm about the kids in this community. Now that we've opened that door, there's a ton of money that's going to be coming in from the outside. Let's use that money, put a nice, beautiful field over at Veterans Park that I think we can all get behind, using outsider money, so that when families come into this area, they say, oh, I can use this park. It's a public park that we can use for residents only. That's what we need to do. We need to spend our money wisely, put a nice turf field there with lights, start attracting younger families, younger kids. So then look at the enrollment. So we need more enrollment in our schools. We close down a school, and we know what happens when we start closing down schools. We start selling buildings. We don't want that to happen. I don't want to move, guys. I don't want to move. I just closed on my house 3 years ago, and now I'm like, okay, this hillside project, the developing here, I don't want to have to leave. I love this place. I coach at the high school. It's a wonderful place to live. Guys, please work on these problems. Thank you.
Thank you, Manny. I'll make a motion to close the public portion. Do I have a second? Second from Divany. All in favor say aye. Aye. The ayes have it. Folks who aren't with us regularly, the format we use is we don't interrupt speakers. We listen. We maybe take notes. And then to the extent that it's possible, we respond. Also note, this is small town government. You're welcome always, always, always to also just make an appointment, come in, and we can hash out issues, and you can really kind of formulate your position that way. And then there is a time and a place to come into town hall and say what you need to say. And really appreciate the eloquence and well-informed comments that we've heard tonight. I would just like to respond briefly to some of the bigger topics that came up. Number one, on the BTX and the code, it is a really complicated matter and it is frustrating. And obviously we had a simple proposal on the table a while back to ban BTX. I agree that we should hire a consultant in town code and zoning, and I think most of the town board here agrees the same thing, and I think we should get someone in here to help. And there's a lot of different codes to be reviewed. We've heard about historic preservation and others, so I agree with that. I support that and would work for that. Hillside development, it is, in my view anyway, a lamentable decision that was made. It also just needs to be understood that the town board does have a role in appointing members to the planning board, but it does not tell them how to vote, and it is a planning board decision, and there is that division within the government, and hopefully people appreciate that. Number three, as far as aloof goes, the very quick and dirty update is that the factory produces intermittent, really noxious odors. That's being documented and logged both in the building department and in the DEC. The DEC is involved in overseeing and investigating because they have a permit which needs to be enforced. Aloof, from what I understand from conversations with the DEC, has agreed to hire an independent engineer to propose remedies to find leaks in the odor control system and to fix them under the supervision of the DEC. The question has been raised as if the town, how the town can pursue in a parallel manner its odor code and the violations of that, and I think that is a topic for further discussion. But right now, the position is to really support the DEC because they're the ones with the permitting authority on air emissions. And John Giardello, the head of our building department, is in regular communication with them, and people should definitely also meet with him to find out more about the process. On number 4, just quickly on Eileen Larkin, the Suez, water quality. I appreciate you standing up and saying how important water is to conserve, to preserve, and to keep unpolluted and safe for drinking water. Also for fire suppression, the pressure in the hydrant system, and not to mention for economic purposes. I mean, we need water for a host of reasons. And we do have the resolution here to promote conservation, and the town did vote to join with the municipal consortium on the rate case for Suez to further try to hold Suez and the Public Service Commission accountable for the way the rates keep going up and the way they try to get ratepayers to pay for things that their shareholders should probably pay for, the costs associated with the desal plant that was successfully stopped, but there's still $30–40 million worth of costs related to that are being debated as to who has to pay for them. And fifth, and I think most importantly for tonight, is this topic of the parks. I support the concept of having parks really prioritize use by the residents. I was against lowering the residency requirement for field use. The trick is to do it right in a way that's legal, in a way that's as convenient and cheap as possible for non-residents when we talk about fees, that's efficient and uses technology well. I will support a policy and program which meets those criteria as we seek to really make good on our commitment to our town residents, which is to put them first when it comes to park use. And I agree with that. I know Councilman Divany and others and our town attorneys have been hashing out different options as far as how to control and regulate our parks in a new way, and I know that Tom will speak a little bit about that tonight. So with that, Dennis is chomping at the bit, so go ahead, Dennis.
I had asked to have it on the agenda for tonight, and it's not on the agenda for the parks, the resolution on the parks. And you're telling me you support it, but you didn't put it on the agenda.
It's hard to put something on the agenda which hasn't really been fully baked.
To set a public hearing.
Right, and I think that's something we should do. I'm fine with that. The issue is having a law at which we actually have a version of it from our town attorneys that came in during the beginning of this meeting. So we do have something.
But you had the law yesterday. This is.
Hey, Dennis.
It's a refinement. You had it yesterday.
It is a refinement, and we hope to have something that is actually something that could be put up for a public hearing, and that's what this is. And it doesn't mean. And by the way, I think we're going to have unanimity in this town board as far as support for this concept, but that doesn't mean that operationally it's simple. And there is a lot to work out to make sure we meet what I think are the 4 criteria: legal, convenient, cheap, and effective in terms of prioritizing town resident use of the fields. And so, I've had conversations with all the town councilmen on this topic, trying to make sure that when we move forward, we have a policy which is defensible and useful. And it's really just, late last week, we had a version of this. It's been refined at least twice in the last 4 days, and now we have something that's I think is a little bit closer. And I think if we give it a little time, we set a public hearing tonight, and then by the time we get to then, hopefully we'll have worked out some of the issues around the mechanics of how to actually have a regulation of the parks in the interest of the town residents: booth, staff, enforcement, identity documents, a way of doing things online, things like that, so they don't end up with a traffic jam, which runs counter to the interests of town residents. So, but I do support it, and I look forward to working on it, and we'll definitely try to get it in shape.
I'm not done.
Go ahead, Dennis.
There's no, we're not implying anything is simple. Tom Devaney and I have been talking about this for 2 years. And Tom has put the time in as an attorney to come up with a law which will stand up legally, which is an important thing to do. All right, and I'll let Tom talk about that later. A couple of the other items. One of the earlier speakers talked about the fact that nobody from town board gets back to them about Route 340 and the shelter. And again, Route 340 is a county road, a state road, as a matter of fact, but it's the county that has responsibility for the bus shelters and the buses, whether the buses don't come on time or the shelter is not being done. That's all in the transportation department. And Ms. Meyer should respond back to you. I've talked about, Esther, I get it.
Can you let him finish his statement, please?
I've talked about this before. Again, people come, some people come to the meetings all the time, and they talk about some things that are disturbing here, or things that are disturbing in the town. And I've talked about this many a time, about my feelings about Orangetown, all right? And again, I understand people have, whether it's Aloof Plastics, or it's an Elitech, or whatever, get upset over certain things. But in general, this town, if you compare it to any town in Rockland County, in terms of how our planning board works, and in terms of how our zoning board works, we had one of the speakers from the Historic Board of Review, in terms of the historic properties, in terms of want more protection, but in terms of the protection we've had here in the past, and even Akabor. And one of the things with Akabor is not a binding, there's not binding decisions with Akabor. It refers the decisions back to the planning board or to the zoning board, if that's the case. The people who are on the boards get paid next to nothing, all right? They are members of the community, and in general, they do a great job. You may disagree with some individual decisions. And one of the earlier speakers talked about what we used to call the Mercedes property on Veterans, where they're building about 150 apartments, that the trees have been taken down there. It's a commercial piece of property. If somebody wants to keep it as trees, they got to buy the property and keep it as trees. And the same thing for the hillside property. The hillside property is 8 acres of trees. On the south end of the hillside property is warehouses. On the north end of the hillside property is some lawnmower repair and car repair on the north side. All right. But it is a commercial piece of property. In terms of being a fast decision, the decision on that was several years. I don't know if it was 5 years, somewhere in that ballpark, and also with the town board backed up the people who were fighting against Hillside. So it's a thing where it still comes down to the decision that is made is basically what covers the town legally. And I have just south on 304, my house is, I don't know, about 5 houses away from a car wash, and I've spoken about this before. The car wash is right next to Muddy Creek. All right, used to be trees. It was a commercial piece of property. Somebody decided to take down all the trees, and what they put in was a car wash. They were allowed to do that because it's a commercial piece of property. As far as the comprehensive plan with the hillside, there's a lot of properties were designated to save if the town could. In the year 2003, I believe it was the comprehensive plan, I was there, the economy was far different. The county and the town was interested in buying different pieces of property to keep them forever wild. We're in a different environment in 2016. The county, for the last, 7, 8 years, hasn't bought any properties, none, that I know. All right? It's a thing where you still want the town protecting your individual properties, but at the same time, there's a balance in what you can do legally and not. And one other speaker, once the head of the planning board fired that he was disrespectful. I think it's interesting when that particular speaker was on the town board and was part of the decision that cost the town $8 million. $8 million. $8 million. That's all I have tonight. Thank you.
Excuse me, that's enough on that. Here you go, Dennis.
Okay, just quickly, I thought there was some very important issues brought up here tonight with Ms. Sullivan. I agree. I think our main concern has to be safety. I drive up and down that road every day, and I'm getting out of my truck and smelling in the air, and I think people are starting to think I'm a little crazy, because I don't smell it as bad as you do. I smell it occasionally. But no matter whether I smell it or not, we have to make sure it's safe. So my main concern, more than anything else, is safety. Second is the odor. But I would like to pass a resolution tonight under new business where we designate a certain amount of money to get air testing in and around Aloof to make sure that our residents are safe. That's my primary concern, and I think you would agree with me, that's the primary concern. Then we can go after, let the DEC worry about whether it's leaking or smelling, and make sure that the residents feel that an independent company does a test, not the DEC, and that we make sure that it's safe. Then let the DEC go after making sure that the smells are handled and there's leaks or whatever else. I think our main concern is to protect our residents. So I would support that. I've also been talking with Tom quite extensively about residency requirements or restrictions on our parks. I absolutely agree with it. I agree with Ms. O'Brien. I think it's something that we have to do. I think Tom's worked very hard on a law that should hold up in court, which is also part of the law and very important. And I'm ready to set a public date on this. When we get under new business, I think we should set a public date. For those who are trying to relate this to the soccer program, this does not have anything to do with youth or adult sports leagues, the same as it doesn't in any other town. This is about general use of the parks. They're not combined together. We're not restricting out-of-town teams from coming in and playing against our teams. So it's really just about the general use of the parks. That's it. I'm going to pass it on to Tom.
All right. 1 second. Sorry. Yeah, I walked, I agree with Paul. He may not smell it, but I walked last week with my granddaughter down on the path and went through behind the college, and you could definitely smell it. I worked in the town for 35 years, and at one point, it was smelled, you could smell it just about anywhere. I was able to smell it from the back of Dominican College walking through. I support that as far as finding out. Let's find out what it is. I know the DEC is working with John, and there are things being done otherwise, but I think that we should take a stance on it and go further. I'll let you go for the other stuff with your park. Thanks, Tom.
Thanks, Joe. Paul, I said it to you a couple of times. Paul's been pushing for these air monitors around Aloof. Let's do it. Let's get it done tonight. And then what else we got? The BTX amendment. I'm going to talk to anyone and everyone who can give me information. I want to talk to Pfizer and IRG to find out what they're doing there right now. How do they have demonstration or pilot scales there right now, Heather? So that's the reason I want to talk to them, because I don't think anyone in this room knows exactly what's going on in there. I want to know. So, and I've read all the articles you sent me, and again, I'm taking all the information in. I'm meeting with a representative of Pfizer, hopefully by the end of the week. So I'm going to continue to get all the information in here, and that's what I was elected to do. And then the park issue. The parks in Orangetown have consistently been held open to the public at large. That includes non-residents. And I myself and Ara Gordon have been going back and forth on this for 2 years. Originally, I thought we could do a non-residence policy and that it would withstand, any legal challenge, but that's not the case. We have consistently held our public parks open to residents and non-residents for, I don't know how long, however long they've been open. So you can't ban non-residents from coming to town of Orangetown parks. It's not constitutional. People speak about what they do in other towns. People talk about what they do in other towns. What they do in other towns won't withstand a legal challenge. I'm sorry. Ma'am, can I speak?
Excuse me.
Please
Excuse
don't
me.
butt in, ma'am.
Listen, there's a lot to figure out here, and if you want to talk with Tom about specifics, just
Okay.
do it offline.
I mean, I've been researching this topic for 2 years, and we want to pass something that's actually going to be legally enforceable, not something that sounds good and it's a good soundbite. You know, so what you can do, even though you can't restrict the parks to non-residents, you can have non-residents charge fees, and that's basically where we're at. We're going to have to charge and have basically passes. You're going to have passes for non-residents, and that's what you can do. That's what you can do, and they can be higher than what we charge residents in the town. I mean, you guys shake your heads, but this is what you can do.
Give me an example of what you're saying.
You know, the bottom line.
Listen.
What's the question? Because it's not legal.
Guys,
You guys
listen.
aren't listening. Just to,
I'm going to let
can I
Councilman
speak?
Divany finish.
Can I
we really,
speak? The bottom line
you want
is
to have a real conversation.
the
You can't
town
do
of
it in a public
Clarkstown
forum.
has passed a law that's not legally enforceable. So you want us to do the same thing so that when we get challenged in a court of law, we lose, and we lose millions of dollars fighting a law that I know is not legal? So you want us to throw millions of dollars out when we get challenged?
We do have an answer. Listen, calm down.
Eric and I have researched this. John Edwards has researched this. You know, the town of Clarkstown and other towns are saying they have these great laws on the books. I would love to be able to come out here and say, let's pass this law. It's going to do what we want. But it's not. And that's the truth. Because if we could do it, I'd be the first one to bring it forth. This is the best we can do. It's similar to what they do in a lot of other towns. They have higher non-resident rates. They've got to pay, $135 a person for anyone over 18 for a resident pass to come to the parks. It's reasonable, given that we're taxpayers in town and they're not, to charge them a higher rate. Again, the rate might be 155. I thought 135, given the case law that I've looked at, is reasonable. $135 a year for a non-resident permit.
Non-resident. It's $15 for a resident.
All right, so listen, folks, what you have on the table is a proposal by Councilman Divany. We're going to set a public hearing, and then everybody needs to just keep on talking. And if there's more than one way to skin a cat, as they say, and I'm sure that Councilman Divany will be receptive. If there's ways of improving the proposal, it'll get improved. But we have to start somewhere, and we're not going to keep having a kind of a pointless back and forth. Like, anybody here who wants to speak to me or any of the town council people about this is welcome to do that, but not in a way that monopolizes everybody else's time at the same time. And we don't even really know, it's not a convenient way to have a real conversation. So we've had enough conversation on this for now. It's a respectable proposal, and we need to set a public hearing and keep working, all right? And it's going to be ultimately a proposal which is effective, economical, and efficient, and as convenient as possible for town residents while accomplishing the goal. So why don't we just do that resolution right now so people know? May 24th. Tom, you want to make a motion to set a public hearing for May 24th?
Public hearing on amending Chapter 7A of the Town Code relating to use of town parks.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye. Aye.
The ayes have it. It'll be at 8 o'clock. And again, you know, there's a lot, almost everything that happens in this town happens with some sort of partnership with the community. The ideas expressed, they need to filter back, they need to go in and be reviewed by our legal team and sorted out. And I have no doubt that the proposal will evolve, and things always get better through that conversation. So let's keep it going in the right forum, though. Let's see. That was the one item, and the other item was, if we're doing new business first, the other was, so we don't forget, was to set a on the air quality testing in the vicinity of Aloof. You wanted to essentially budget a certain number of thousands of dollars,
Right.
and then request that we get some proposals from chemical monitoring companies.
Right. I would like to make a recommendation that we set a number of $5,000 and seek requests for proposals to do air monitoring in and around the Aloof Plastics factory.
That's an independent.
An independent monitor that will be selected by the building department.
I'll second that. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
The ayes have it. And I'll ask our John Giudello, you know, to kind of lead us through the process of finding a company with the right kind of expertise for that. Number 5, so we already did the first few resolutions related to the public hearing. So I think that puts us at item number 5. This is setting a hearing on a proposed local law, which essentially improves the procurement process so that our contracts are, we can piggyback on good contracts that other municipalities have and vice versa. So I'll make a motion for this. Do I have a second? From Jerry Batari, all in favor say aye. And that hearing is set for May 24th at 8:15. And there's a description of the matter in here. Number 6 is, and these are items which we talked about at the workshop meeting last week. Number 6 is the approval of an intermunicipal agreement with Rockland County having to do with law enforcement reimbursement of overtime costs. Do I hear a motion for this? From Jerry Batari, second from Divany. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 7 is the approval of town funding for project graduation events at the local high schools. I'll make a motion for this. Dennis, do you want to make a second on that? All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 8 is the revocable license with the Rockland Filming Campus LLC to set up so on and so forth. Thank you, Dom. I'll second that. And I think it's going to be a great project. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. So let's see. Hold on. Hold on.
Number 9 is the amended budget line.
Hold on a second. Number 9, the budget line amendments, Highway Department. Tom Divany will make a motion for that. I'll make a second. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 10 is a proclamation for Building Safety Month. We're encouraging our citizens to join with their communities in participating in raising awareness about building safety. I'll make a motion for this. Do I hear a second? From Divany, all in favor say aye. The ayes have it. National Public Works Weeks, we've talked about this. And I'll make a motion for this. Do we have a second from over here, maybe from Jerry? All in favor say aye. And I'll note also that the Public Works Association's annual equipment show is hosted by our highway department. It's a regional show. And is that, what day is that on, Jim? Is that the 19th? May 18th. And people can come out and come in, and if you're interested in learning more about the heavy equipment that's used by the highway departments, it's a great chance to do that. Number 12 is approving aid to Pearl River Memorial Day. And that's on May 30th. Motion from Divany, a second from Paul Valentine. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 13 is for the Palisades Library 125th anniversary celebration on May 14th. I'll make a motion for this. Here a second from Dennis Troy over there. Great lover of libraries. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 14, this is the annual Nun Run on May 7th. It's coming up right this weekend. Make a motion for that. Here a second. Over here from Divany. All in favor say aye. Number 15, approve aid. This is to the Ancient Order of Hibernians. This is retroactive. I'll make a motion. Here a second. Dennis Troy. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. National Police Week proclamation. Please don't mistake the speed that I'm going through here for, it's really important information. I hope everybody reads this about National Police Week and participates in associated events. I'll make a motion for this proclamation. I have a second from Jerry Patari. Of course, served the town as a police officer many years. All in favor say aye. Number 17 is mental health awareness. Someone want to make a motion for this one? Move from Divany, second from Valentine. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. 18, this is the Water Sense Conservation Program Promotional Partnership. And we've had environmental committee members and others speak in favor of water conservation. I'll make a motion for this one. Do I hear a second? Second from Jerry Batari. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it.
This
Yes,
is a
Mr.
great
Toy.
resolution, but we talk about water conservation here. We talked about it last week at the workshop. As long as one town in this county keeps doing overdevelopment, it's a thing where the water conservation helps, but the tsunami, we're going to get drowned anyway. It's ridiculous. There has to be an effort countywide to stop what's going on here. And I congratulate Ed Day in terms of some of the things he's done already, in terms of what he's done with the illegal housing, on the safe housing. But it's been allowed to go on for years in this county. And it's spreading out. It's spreading out to the other parts of the county. So it's great that we do this conservation on water. But the bigger picture is there has to be conservation in terms of land development here.
Thanks for saying that. Let's see. Number 19 is approve aid African American Festival, May 7th, coming up this weekend. I'll make a motion for that. Do I hear a second? From Dennis Troy. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. It's a wonderful parade. Takes place in Nyack. Number 20. This is approving the use of the J.B. Clark Rail Trail for the bike race that's happening in a week or so. We've seen signs all up and down Route 9W actually right now. You can really see the bike race getting advertised. I'll make a motion for this. Do I hear a second? From Batari, all in favor say aye. And thanks to our parks, police, highway, and others who have worked to make sure this race can take place in a safe way. Number 21, this is approving the concession license at the Snack Shack in Veterans Memorial Park for at-your-service catering. I'll make a motion for this. Do I hear a second? Second from Troy. All in favor say aye. Number 22 is certificates of registration for doing sewer work 2016, and there are 5 companies listed. Do I hear a motion for this? Move from Divany. Second from Batari. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 23 is a contract with Cornell Cooperative Extension, which provides trainings and community outreach related to our stormwater program, water quality program. Move from Troy. Second from myself. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. 24, we have a couple of personnel items. Accepting the retirement of Doug Pitts, the sewer inspector, 41 years of service. Thank you very much, Mr. Pitts, and enjoy your retirement. I'll make a motion for this. I need a second from Batari. All in favor say aye. Number 25 is creating the position in the Highway Department of Account Clerk Typist. Motion from Divany, second from Paul. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. 26, appointing Lynn Marie Collins to the clerk typist position in the Highway Department. I'll do a repeat on that. Motion from Valentine, second from Divany. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. Number 27 is adopting an Americans with Disabilities Act policy and appointing our Personnel Director, Donna Morrison, to be the ADA coordinator as per the procedures required Motion from Divany, second from myself. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. We also have we did the air quality and the parks. That's all right. Thank you, Jeff. We have an audit tonight, which our finance director is passing out a review. Hey, Charlie, did we do an adjournment for Paul Rivet like last week? Yeah, I was just thinking that. Okay.
Jeff, on, I don't know, I don't even know how to say it, the Lodge Landon, the golf cart?
Yes.
You have it twice, so is it?
Yeah, one was for an April payment and one's for June.
All right, so it's exactly the same. Okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. Thank you.
Okay, tonight's audit consists of 5 warrants for a total of $1.5 million. The first warrant is 45 vouchers for $182,000 and was for utilities. The second warrant consists of 11 vouchers for $253,000. Items of interest, 1 and 2 applied golf for Blue Hill and Broad Acres. Number 3, the workers' comp chair, $17,000. Number 5, New York State unemployment insurance, $28,000 for unemployment payments. The third warrant consists of 1 voucher for $11,000. It was a refund of a school tax bill. The fourth warrant consists of 2 vouchers for $4,700. It was for 207C payments. The fifth warrant consists of 282 vouchers for $1.1 million. Item of interest include number 3, Capasso, $48,000 for recycling. Number 4, CSEA employee benefits, $26,000 for dental insurance. Number 10, Department of Civil Service, $639,000 for CSEA health benefits. Number 13, Seal Coat, $89,000 for crack seal. And number 15, Well Core, $19,000 for Sukasa. Any questions on the audit?
Yeah, what's the workers' comp chair? I don't remember seeing that.
What number again?
Number 3 in the second warrant.
It's for the chair of the Workers' Comp Board, New York State, that whenever we get, we have to pay for our portion of that. So we periodically pay for that.
Is that once a year or once each meeting?
I believe it's either quarterly or biannually.
Okay, just let me know.
Yeah.
Yes, I don't remember ever seeing that.
Any other questions on the audit?
Thank you, Jeff. I'll make a motion to accept the audit as described and reviewed. A second from Divany. All in favor say aye. The ayes have it. We have a couple of adjournments for tonight. One is Michael John Coffey of Pearl River, New York. And I wanted to write in Paul Rivet of Orangeburg. Won't even start to describe his contributions to town and country. Veteran, very politically involved, an engineer. Who knows how many accolades on his resume. So rest in peace, Paul Rivet and Michael John Coffey, good residents of the town of Orangetown and whose